All right, guys, so it is 10:50. So go ahead and log out of Reading Plus if you are finished. If you're in the middle of something important like a quiz, finish up the quiz, okay? Now, for most of you, the Reading Plus has improved from last week. So last week we didn't have too much of a buy-in. This week you guys are doing pretty good. For example, most of you are scoring above 80% on your assignments. That's a high B, guys. It's a high B. There's a couple of you who have not moved, so your time has not moved, which means you're probably logged on to Reading Plus, but it's actually tracking when you're actually working, okay? So if you have Reading Plus just on, it doesn't count it as time on work. It'll count it as just idle time. So some of you have a ton of minutes, like 100 and plus minutes this week, which is awesome. Good job. Remember, Reading Plus only works if you work on it. But for the most part, everyone's doing a pretty good job. I see two that are not, but they probably know who they are. Now, we're going to forget about Reading Plus for right now, and then I want you to please follow me to the assignment that we didn't finish yesterday. First, read To Kill a Mockingbird. After this assignment, we're going to go ahead and do a blast on aliens and what the Pentagon released a few months ago and nobody cared about. But first, we got to finish up this assignment. When you guys are here, I want you to say, I'm here, just so I know who is actually ready.
I'm here.
1,
Here.
2, 3,
Here.
4,
Here.
5,
Here.
6,
Here.
7. We always get stuck at 7.
Here.
8. I need 12.
Here.
9. I need 11 actually. Elijah's gone. 2 more. Who are you? Okay, I'm gonna get going, okay? If you're not there, go ahead and catch up. So, we are going to go ahead and watch this video. Let me read the introduction to you. Drawing from the events of her own childhood, Harper Lee completed To Kill a Mockingbird at the peak of the civil rights movement. Remember, this is where all the injustices were getting fixed. Well, trying to get fixed. In the South, during the 1960s, if you were black, you didn't have rights. You couldn't go to the same churches, you couldn't go to the same stores, same bathrooms, same gyms. And in the 1960s, all of that began to change. New people came into office and people were making new laws to help include everybody in to be able to participate in to life, right? To live. It was no longer segregated. That segregation law was a law before the 1960s that said if you were a certain skin color, you could not and were not allowed to, for example, ride certain buses or buy houses in a certain area. And so all of this changed in the 1960s. But as we know, things don't change easily. Change is not easy. So people pushed back, people fought back. And that's why in this story, we learn that Tom is getting accused of rape. He didn't do it, but because his town has not yet switched to their mentality to everyone's equal, they're accusing him. Okay? And that's one of the major lessons in the story, is that treat everyone equally, along with the 4 other lessons that Scout learned. So I want you guys to go ahead and watch the Study Sync TV. It is the third tab. On your
Are you
marks.
supposed to record?
I'm not recording, huh? Thank you. Yeah. I don't have to, but you know. So go ahead and play the video, guys. 3, 2, 1.
Wait, where's the video?
But who'd want to kill a mockingbird?
It's a figure of speech. Atticus says to Scout it's a sin to kill a mockingbird.
I mean, yeah, of course it is. Who would want to kill such a pretty little bird?
Mockingbirds aren't that pretty. Here. Look.
Oh. Still,
Apparently, they're pretty annoying too. My dad said they were all over his hometown.
so that makes someone want to kill them?
Can we... Sorry, can we just get to the prompt? Come back to this?
Sure, fine. I've got it right here. Consider Atticus's advice to Scout about trying to see things from another person's point of view. How might this apply to different characters in the excerpt? Write at least 200 words about what it means to try and walk around in the skin of another character.
Okay, well, first up has to be Walter Cunningham. I feel bad for that kid.
I do too, but also like, ugh.
Wait, what was that?
I don't know, he makes me nervous.
Nervous?
The way he's described, like, right here. His eyes are red-rimmed and watery. There was no color in his face except at the tip of his nose, which was moistly pink.
What's wrong with that? I mean, he probably looks like that because he's not getting enough to eat.
Well, see, now I feel bad. I'm just trying to be honest.
No, I mean, I think that's how Scout feels about him too.
But the goal is to become more compassionate.
The goal?
Well, that's the advice Atticus gives Scout anyway. All that stuff about imagining how it is in someone else's shoes.
But that's impossible. I mean, we'll never know what it's like to be someone else.
Well, I think it's trying to imagine. I think that's important. Or that's where the compassion comes in.
Well, aren't you so wise?
Hey, I'm just quoting Atticus here.
I'm sorry, but compassion? I mean, how exactly are we defining that?
Well, I looked it up, and I don't remember what the dictionary says, but it was something like being kind or loving to someone who's suffering.
Oh. Well, yeah, I think we should all do that.
Easier said than done.
You think?
I mean, suffering looks different from case to case. You see a kitten stuck up in a tree.
Aw.
Exactly. It's easy for you to feel compassion for the kitten, but suffering can take other forms, and not all of them are cuddly or cute.
Okay. I'll have to think more about that.
But back on track. So Scout starts out thinking that Walter is a little weird. Then her opinion of him changes.
Wait, she does? Where?
Well, it doesn't say that directly, but by the time they reach her house, it says Walter had forgotten he was a Cunningham.
And what do you get from that?
I think that's Scout's way of saying he had forgotten he was a Cunningham too.
Wait, but what does this have to do with compassion?
Well, it sounds like we're seeing that Scout was able to change her mind.
And that's compassionate?
Well, not necessarily. It's just she was able to change her opinion, and that seems, I don't know, important?
Well, it's kind of what Atticus's whole philosophy is built on. Keep an open mind. Be prepared to change your mind about someone.
Everything seems to come back to Atticus's advice.
Well, I think his advice is important because it applies to Walter and Tom and eventually Boo Radley.
But Atticus isn't talking about them here. He's talking about Scout's teacher.
That lady. The one who said Atticus taught Scout all wrong, and that they can't ever read anymore, ever.
Yeah, I'm glad she's not our teacher.
Yeah, when I was reading it, I was thinking, whoa, how is Atticus gonna respond to this?
And you were surprised?
Yeah. I think if it were me, I would have been like, she's crazy. Don't listen to her.
But that's not what Atticus says.
No, it's like he sees this bigger lesson to be learned.
And that is...
Well, we've already said that you never really understand a person until you imagine it from their point of view.
Okay, so what's the teacher's point of view?
We don't know.
But it's still an interesting response. Atticus shifts the focus away from what the teacher said and asks Scout to think about who the teacher is.
But he's not even addressing the ridiculousness of what she said.
Yeah, but he's kind of suggesting that whether we agree with the teacher or not, she still has the right to her own opinion.
It's kind of like the mockingbird.
Wait, what? How?
Well, a mockingbird can't help the way it is, but it's still got a right to exist. It's a sin to kill a mockingbird just for being a mockingbird.
And so it's a sin to hate Scout's teacher just for being who she is?
Maybe.
Sometimes I feel like Atticus is too wise. Like, is he even human?
You think?
Well, that's what we have Scout for, right? She's just trying to sort
You
it
guys
all
are all
out.
finished? Let me
Yeah,
know.
like outside the jail.
Hilarious.
Are you
Done.
joking? I was holding my breath the whole time. I was scared.
But wait, why?
Because she chose that moment to practice her compassion skills.
That's what was so funny.
Yeah, but Scout's not what these men are up to. She's just trying to connect Mr. Cunningham.
Yeah, right. It says,
Thanks, guys. Okay, so in case that
Atticus
reading the
had said
story
it
was a
was the
little
polite
confusing,
thing
because for
to
me,
talk to
honestly, this story is a little confusing sometimes. But the main part is that, remember the scene where Scout walks outside and meets the lynch mob, the angry mob with pitchforks and fire that want to kill the guy in the house? Remember that scene? And now, go back to where Atticus says, Scout, you have to learn to talk to people about things they like. And remember, Scout's 6 years old, and she decides she's going to practice this skill right now. So she walks outside, and Mr. Cunningham is there with the rest of the group. Mr. Cunningham is one of the leaders, right? He's leading the lynch mob. They want to kill someone, so they're yelling, kill him, kill him. Scout goes out, goes next to Mr. Cunningham, and then starts asking him questions about his own personal life, right? She goes, hey, how's your arraignment going? Basically, Mr. Cunningham is getting sued. So Scout goes, hey, Mr. Cunningham, how's that lawsuit going? Thinking that she's going to connect in that way with Mr. Cunningham. Turns out it's not okay to talk about somebody's personal business like that, like getting sued, right? So she learns that really quick. But in the end, Mr. Cunningham, Scout breaks the ice, right? Mr. Cunningham kind of puts down his guard, puts down his walls, and tells everyone to leave. And that is what I want you guys to get. Now, go ahead and go to number 4, to the theme questions. And then, I want you guys to read this with me. Walter speaks in a Southern dialect that reveals not only where he grew up, but also other things about his character. Set an example of Walter's dialect and explain what it tells about his character. So what we're going to do now is I want you guys to think about Walter. Go back to Walter and how he sounds. His dialect is the way his voice sounds. When someone is from the South, they have a certain accent, right? From New York, they have a certain accent. They sound a different way. Walter sounds a little different. What else does that tell you about Walter? I want you guys to go ahead and split screen. Click the split screen, and we are going to find Walter. Number your paragraphs, please. That I can tell you what paragraph to read. So immediately in paragraph 1, his name. But that doesn't really tell us about what he's saying and why, okay? Try to find when Walter says something. Yeah, give me a second, guys.
So,
Mr. Fernandez, I'm back.
Alright guys, here's what we're gonna do. Change of plans. I want all of you guys to log out of StudySync. So you can go ahead and log out of StudySync and just have a fresh page open as if it was like this. And we're gonna do a change of plans, and I'll explain right now. So don't worry about that assignment today. We won't finish it today. We're not even going to touch it today. I'll explain what we are doing.